If you've been watching our broccoli and cauliflower episodes, or you want some great information, tips and tricks on how to harvest your broccoli and cauliflower, then stay tuned because this episode's for you. Hey everybody, I'm Alan Schaefer at Custom Garden Solutions. In today's exciting episode, I'm going to harvest some broccoli and cauliflower. Now, if you're following along at home, you'll know that on October 26th, I did an episode where I showed you how to start broccoli and cauliflower plants from seed. We did this in our indoor grow room called the Garden of Alan. And then in our December 5th episode, I transplanted the broccoli and the cauliflower out to the outdoor garden. So it's February 10th, it may be a few days later by the time this video gets published, but I've already, about 2 weeks ago, harvested the first couple heads of broccoli. So I'm going to share some tips and tricks today that I hope are useful when you're growing broccoli and cauliflower. So before I get started and start harvesting the broccoli and the cauliflower, if you think that you're going to want to consume or you want to eat about the same amount of broccoli and cauliflower, you might want to grow a little bit more cauliflower than broccoli. Here's a couple reasons why. The main reason is that once you harvest the head or the crown, or whatever you want to call it, of the cauliflower, it's done. Harvest the cauliflower, pull the plant, put it in your compost pile. Broccoli, on the other hand, once you harvest the crown or the head, it'll continue to send up broccoli shoots in almost all varieties of broccoli. Maybe not all, but all the ones I've ever grown. These broccoli shoots are really tender and they're really tasty. First of all, the stem is usually very small versus broccoli having the larger stem. And you want to keep on top of the broccoli shoots. You don't want to go a week or two and then check your plants. You want to get out there every 2 or 3 days and you want to harvest those shoots while they're still compact in the crown. And you just want to harvest those and then you want to eat them. The second thing you want to consider is that in my environment, broccoli tends to be ready to harvest a little bit sooner than cauliflower. Cauliflower can sometimes, take a while to harvest versus broccoli. So this year, the broccoli was able to be harvested about 2 weeks before the cauliflower. So that isn't a big issue. The big issue is that cauliflower is kind of a one and done, whereas broccoli continues to send up broccoli shoots. So when you're growing your plants indoor from seeds, make sure you take that into consideration. And one quick thing you might want to consider when you're transplanting your broccoli and cauliflower out to your outdoor garden is using some type of insect netting. I did an episode about 2 weeks ago on ProtekNet insect netting, ProtekNet insect netting. Put a description down below. I also did episodes in the summer of 2018 on insect netting and insect protection. So check those out if you're interested. I'll try to put a link down below. The reason why I would use insect netting on broccoli and cauliflower is that if you see those little white or grayish moths flittering around your garden and you say, boy, that's so pretty. Look at all the butterflies or look at all the moths. Those are likely cabbage moths. Cabbage moths and other moths will lay little eggs on your broccoli and cauliflower. Those will turn into cabbage worms. The main culprit, in my experience, in Arizona and in Illinois, were the cabbage worms, and they're little, like lime green worms, and they're kind of cute little guys, and they kind of hide usually on the underneath of the broccoli crowns. If you don't want to have to wash your broccoli to get rid of the worms, if you don't like the worms, if you're afraid of worms and don't like bugs, then you definitely want to use insect netting. You can also spray diatomaceous earth, insecticidal soap, and neem oil. I'll be doing an episode on neem oil coming up. If you don't know what diatomaceous earth is, go back to our first episode ever done on this channel. I go into great detail about what diatomaceous earth is and how it's a great organic remedy to certain insect pressure. So you might want to use insect netting. I didn't in this case here in Arizona because I transplanted in early December. It was cold out. I don't tend to get a lot of cabbage moth or cabbage worm pressure when the weather's cool. They seem to come around when the weather warms up. So I didn't cover the broccoli and cauliflower, but I did have a few cabbage worms. I used diatomaceous earth because we were having some aphid issues when it warmed up on our lettuce, spinach, kale, and things like that. So while I was at it, I did spray the cauliflower and broccoli, and I checked it today, and it looks like we don't have a lot of cabbage worms, but I'm sure there's some in there somewhere. So you might want to use insect netting. The other thing insect netting might do for you, I'm using white insect netting now, but I have some darker insect netting, and it also acts as kind of a sunshade. So broccoli and cauliflower are cool weather crops. It hasn't got above 75 here in Phoenix since I transplanted these out to the garden. But if you're in an environment where it's going to get 75, 80 or higher, having the insect netting is going to help, and having the insect netting is going to act as a small bit of a sunshade to keep your plants a little bit cooler and keep some of that direct sun off them. So something else you might consider. All right, so I'm going to get my knife. I'm going to harvest some broccoli. We're going to harvest some cauliflower, and I'm going to show you what those broccoli shoots look like. Let's get started. Now this is going to be shaded a little bit because of the angle that the sun's hitting it. But what you want to do is grab a sharp knife, just cut it off. There you go. I'll just let this sit in the garden. I'm looking at these leaves. You can eat these leaves. I don't. I'm looking for cabbage worms. They typically hide in here. And I don't see any. Now this is a good head. It's nice and compact with these thousands of little balls start to flower or discolor, or this starts to separate like that. That's when you want to pick your broccoli. You want to actually do it before that. So this is some really nice broccoli. I'm going to steam this up with some carrots and some beans, some cauliflower, some asparagus, and a sweet pepper for dinner tonight. Yeah, this looks good. These are the little shoots. And you want to get these while they're still like in crown form. They're tight and there's no flowering going on in these little tiny balls that are on the end of the crown. And again, in this one, I don't see any cabbage worms or aphids or any other really bug pressure. So here's another shoot here, another one down here, another one back here. See all these? These are great. Just pop them in some water, rinse them off, throw them right into your steamer. All right, you don't need to cut them up or anything. These are so tasty. I like these more than I even like the heads. There's another one here. Big one here. Big one here. Now these actually popped up before I even harvested. I've taken most of the shoots. There's a couple that are just starting, like here. Oops. Looks like no bugs whatsoever. I'll just lie that here, let it decompose. There's a little bit more sun on this plant, but I'll show you. Here's a little shoot, broccoli shoot. There's another one. Now some of these are kind of small. I'm just gonna let them go, but there's one starting here. 2 or 3 days, that'll be ready to go, 2 or 3 days. Now this one, we've harvested the broccoli head, the broccoli crown, I think about a week or so ago. But look at all this. Look at this. Look at all these shoots. I'm not seeing any cabbage worms. Look at these. Look at this. Notice none of the heads are flowering or turning colors. This is delicious. Oops. There's another one. Another one. Another one. Another one. Another one. And these will, look at this. This one's the size of a baseball. So once you harvest your broccoli, you're going to get these shoots for weeks, for months. And you want to get them again when they're like this, when they're still compact, just like a miniature crown or miniature broccoli head. When they start flowering and changing colors, they'll get bitter, but these are going to be sweet. They're going to be tender. And I lost one of them. Where'd you go? Oh, there we go. Here you. He's running away. He wanted to be composted. But look at that. And that isn't even the crown. Those are just broccoli shoots. This is one, now this cauliflower here, and I don't think you can see it because the plant's shading it out. This is one of the best looking cauliflowers I've ever seen. You could just cut it. I'm gonna pull the plant so I can show you how beautiful this one is. So let's just go ahead and pull this bad boy. So I actually wanted to show you how good looking this cauliflower looks. I'm not going to say this is the best cauliflower grown in the history of mankind, I should say. But first of all, leaves very healthy. And we'll strip these away. But what you want is nice tight formation. When it starts separating, so check this out. This is quite impressive. So notice how tight it is. It's almost got It isn't fuzzy, but it almost looks like it's furry. This is one of my best looking cauliflowers ever. It's not the largest. If you wait till it gets too large and it starts separating, that's what you don't want. When it starts changing colors and kind of flowering, you want this kind of off-white type color, and you want it tight like this. That's when it's perfect. Now, you could watch it almost daily, and when it starts to separate and it starts to, you know, flower a little bit where the little pieces start looking like they're popping open, then you could pick it. I picked this one before it did that. It might have gone a day, 2 or 3 more, but it just looked so good, I had to pick it. Like I said, steamed veggies for dinner tonight. Now I'll take these leaves. And they're big leaves, and I'll lay them down in the garden. They do a couple things. One is they keep the moisture in the garden, in the soil. They keep the moisture in the soil. The other thing is they don't let the sun hit the soil, so it deters weed growth. And they'll biodegrade, compost right into the soil. And I won't put these in the compost pile. I'll lay these right out on the top of the soil. Let's go do that. So I'm just going to lay these down. Then we'll compost away. So the broccoli and cauliflower are doing great this year. I'm just, there's another broccoli head. There's one that we just harvested. There's some cauliflower. There's another one about ready. This one coming along down there. Got one started here. You can tell, you just gotta pull the leaves away. There's another one. There's another one. There. There's another one there. So we started broccoli plants over here first. And we did a little succession planting, and we put some other broccoli plants on the other side of the garden that started a little bit later. That way we'll be able to harvest the ones behind me now and into the next couple of weeks. And then the ones on the other side of the garden we'll start to harvest in the next week or two. So here's the ones that we planted first. And I showed you all the cauliflower and broccoli that were really ready to go. And then if we pan over to the other side of the garden, never mind our pole, right in the middle there, that is more broccoli and cauliflower. I've got a bunch of baseball size broccoli crowns growing in there, broccoli heads growing in there. But they're about 2 or 3 weeks behind the other side of the garden. So I've got quite a harvest of broccoli and cauliflower. Check this out. I lined them up. And there's the 2 big heads. There's all the little broccoli shoots. So that's quite a bit. And there's plenty more in there. There's plenty more that I could have harvested. I just don't have time to prepare the food and freeze them and do things like that. So we'll get to that in the next couple days, but I wanted to share this with you. I'm Alan Schaefer at Custom Garden Solutions. Our channel is all about helping you grow herbs and vegetables and all kinds of cool garden stuff so that you can live a healthier and happier life. If you're new to our channel and you want to learn all about growing herbs and vegetables and all kinds of cool garden stuff, then start today by subscribing. And so you don't miss anything, make sure you hit the notification bell, because you never know what I'm going to be talking about next. Before I start harvesting the broccoli and cauliflower, this is something you need to... And I'm going to bracket blah 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 broccoli blah 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 broccoli black blah blah broccoli.